when I joined the Model Railway Club, Ingatestone was the obvious home for me, as I'd only ever modelled in 00. And the overhead line seemed a nice little job to tackle at that time, as I played with metal all my life, so I thought I could give it a crack. Unfortunately, I mean, Chris Ibbotson had already started on the overheads, but sadly they got crushed. I'm not quite sure if something fell on them, but anyway, they were damaged and were then removed. So that really meant I had the whole job to myself. The first thing, of course, we had to do was see what we were modelling, and in August 2017 we went up there en masse with our tapes and cameras to measure up and take photographs of all the bits and pieces that we needed to model. Can I have the next photo, please? From the photos that I took, I did sketch the various brackets that came off the gantries. They seem to be fairly free with their designs, but as you can see there, I just did little sketches of them so that I could reproduce them. The two things that stood out from Chris's efforts were that they should be removable, so that when they weren't needed, they could remove and put into storage so they didn't get damaged on the layout. And then the other thing was that the model should be robust, because these things are hopefully going to last a long time, and they're going to be handled, pulled about, and they don't want to be falling to bits. So that meant that we couldn't really make accurate scale models because they would have been far too delicate. So I had to aim for something that would give a good impression of the overheads from the usual viewing distance, which is that was the aim. Could I have the next picture, please? To make the gantries removable, I made these little sockets from brass tube and washers, and then they were fitted into drilled holes in the layout board. And then the uprights of the gantries, the bottoms were turned for a distance of about 10 millimeters. So they slotted into those little top hats, but they also formed a little shoulder on the uprights, so that they would locate and sit there at the right heights. Next picture, please. The gantries are made from I-section brass, as you can see here, and to get them to the right length, I mean, I'd roughly cut them to length, and then with my little milling machine just cleaned up the ends and milled them to exact lengths. Next picture, please. Most of the gantry sort of goalposts frames are the same on the layout, so I made them all up as a batch, as you can see here. So all the parts were all cut to size first, and then I could solder them all together as a batch as well. Next picture, please. I made this simple little jig so that would hold the sections in position. Before I have to say, before I did solder them, I had the top section of the goalpost had to be drilled to take the brackets for the wires to be soldered into. Yeah, it's for soldering. I don't know what other people use, but I still got a bottle of ancient Eames flux that I bought round the corner here in King's Cross about 50 years ago, and using that and ordinary Ursin cord solder, it all seemed to work a treat. Next picture, please. So that's how it came out of the jig, the basic goalposts. And as you can see in the middle there, I then made up the dropper brackets out of brass wire and soldered those together. And those were, once again, I laid the, could I have the next picture, please? Yes, I laid the wires over the scale drawing I did and held them into place with track pins so that I could then solder them together. Next picture, please. And that was the end result, and that one was in the display case at the club for a while, and you may have seen that. And next picture, please. And that was the gantries set out on the layout just to see, you know, how they looked in the landscape. Beyond the London end of the Ingatestone station, the track is quite a bit more varied. There's a parking loop, and Tom thought it would be a good idea to introduce a head shunt as well. So that gave us the opportunity to put in a tensioning post at the end of the head shunt, and we're missing a photo. What I did, I was taking my car into the MOT, and the little garage is alongside the tracks out of St Pancras. So I went for a wander and found just what I wanted. Took the photographs of a tensioning system there, and that's what I've recreated with odd bits and pieces here. Next photo, please. The other interesting thing up that end of the layout is this gallows bracket, trellis made out of trellis, which is rather a nice thing. I found actually Chris had used one as well, a model kit, which I sort of modified to make that that particular item. And then the other piece on it to the left of that, you can see there was the other upright, which I made a stand for a transformer. Tom thought it'd be a nice idea to show that sort of on the model, showing how the electricity actually got to the overheads. Next picture, please. And that's it with its little transformer and oil tank and connections and what have you. Next picture, please. And there you are. You can see that's the overhead gantries, various gallows brackets, and quite a nice variety at that end. Next picture, please. One piece of advice we got from Tim Watson was that it would be good to chemically black all the brass, so that if the paint got chipped, rather than it producing a nice bright shiny brass chip, it would show up black, and that wouldn't be so noticeable. So I did a bit of research, and the commercial preparations are quite expensive, but I found there's a chap who did, I'm not sure if it was guns or something anyway, but he used a mixture of copper carbonate and household ammonia. And I tried that, and I have to say it works not too badly at all, but the smell of the ammonia absolutely blows your head off. So it really has to be done outdoors. It's not something to be done at the kitchen sink. The other thing is that you need you need to keep to get the things really clean before you do it, because otherwise the blackening just won't take any grease, and it's just doesn't work. The other thing is that it's a bit corrosive, and I found that to my cost. I left one in the stuff overnight, and it started eating through the wires. And next photo, please. And then to the spray booth. And first of all, I gave them all a coat of etch primer. Next photo, please. Which, yes, they look really nice then, I think. And next photo, please. And then finally, a couple of coats of light grey matte enamel, really trying to get them something like galvanized steel, the appearance of galvanized steel. The thing about the gantries is, as Tom said, many of these are very old. They've been there for donkey's years, and they don't look bright and grey anymore. There's all sorts of lichens and things growing on them, and they've got this wonderful patina, and that's going to be a nice job. Perhaps a few of us can have a go at that, to replicate that patina on these gantries. And the last picture, please. And this is just a little movie, just showing once again the gantries in position in their bright brass state, but they show up a bit too much like that, obviously. But once they're painted and weathered, I'm sure they'll melt into the background, into the landscape, and hopefully give the right impression. Thank you. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you again very much, Tony. That's brilliant. And I mean, you've managed to do most of that at home over these difficult couple of months. On the subject of the overheads on Ingatestone, I'm just going to add one or two little pieces of detail now that we've come to the end of our program of speakers. So the overhead contact wire will not be carrying any power to the locomotives, but it uses the Pico commercial contact wires, and we had to space out the various lengths, but we were trying to get the relationship with the overhead posts near to where they are with the other structures. So if we had an overhead post at the end of the station building, we tried to get it there. So we're keeping this kind of synergy of trying to make it look as much like Ingatestone as possible, but obviously interpreting it into a model railway. I mean, so we've got a straight bit and a curve, and as Bob said, luckily we made a very cheap cardboard mock-out to find out that our bridge didn't.